For the first one, the display shows the heights of some of the singers in a chorus, collected so that the singers could be positioned on stage with shorter ones in front and taller ones in the back. And so obviously you can see what that distribution looks like. There's the height as the X value, the number of singers for each as the Y. And so we need to describe the distribution. So how would we describe that? Like unimodal, bimodal, symmetric, skewed. What are we thinking?
Bimodal.
Could it be symmetric? Like it almost kind of lines up, like it's a little off, but
Yeah, I would probably say not. Well, within each group, you could say it's pretty symmetric, I feel like. So I would say basically bimodal. One is near the, like, trying to figure out what their increments are here. Were they like increments of 2? Like the 65-inch range. And one near like 71-ish inches range. And then you could say there could be 2 groups. So it's relatively symmetric within each.
I just not making my handwriting so big.
Sometimes it's hard when I make these because I like never know how much space it's going to be when you're like typing something versus like actually writing it out. I'm like, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I would suck at doing that.
So based on what we just said, can you account for the features that we see in this histogram, or like why do you think it is the way that it is? Or what could lead to that potentially?
Wait, so what exactly am I looking for? Like when it's asking that?
Like why do you think why do you think it's bimodal? There is kind of a right or wrong answer, but also it's kind of just like, what do you think could lead to that purpose?
maybe like there's a small group of really short people and a small group of like really tall people, and then kind of like average of one, like average heights or where it goes up or something.
Average heights of what, though?
The people.
If there's 2 groups.
The short, tall people.
Well, if there's an average height, then in theory that should be the middle. Like the middle should be your average.
Yeah, like there's a large group of short people in the front and large tall people in the back.
But what kind of people are they?
Singers.
Yeah.
More specifically, they are 2 groups. What kind of people would
Front,
that
back?
be?
Short and tall?
Virginia, what are you?
A girl.
What are
Oh
you?
boy.
A boy, girl, and boy.
People you ask about this, like, I don't know.
I had a lady on Marketplace last night because, like, I market for our farm.
Yeah.
And so I had a thing out on Marketplace about garlic. And this lady messages me, and she asked me this question about something that I have no idea. And her response to me is, well, you ain't no country boy, are you? And I was like, well, I'm a girl. And she was like, well, then you really should know this. And I was just like, I wanted to
And
fight.
it was about garlic.
Yes.
God, lady, you ain't getting my garlic.
The thing that she was saying, I'm pretty sure it had typos in it anyways, because I'm like, what she's explaining doesn't even make sense. I couldn't read it too. No, she wanted to know something about like green peas and shelling something, and I'm like, ma'am, that has nothing to do with garlic. We don't even grow that. It was fine. It was fine. Anyways, but that's the comedy. So, what can account for these features? Probably a group of girls that are shorter because the average height of females is like 5'3" to 5'5" ish, which would be around the 65 inches.
Is this something we're like allowed to deduce? It doesn't like tell us if it's guys
Yes.
or girls. Okay.
Because it says, can you account? We could say, well,
so, like,
it
you're
could
coming up
be.
with a reason, basically.
Yes.
That isn't given.
Because it doesn't tell us, but typically a chorus is going to have males and females. So, likely a mix of men and women.
Yo, tall girls is scary.
In my group.
Tall girls.
I watched an episode of Big Nanny last night where there was like a 7-foot tall woman.
Dude, that just freaked me out.
There was a girl at the game last night that was probably like
Was it their
6'2" or something.
I was watching the live. Was it their middle? Yeah.
She was pretty tall. She wasn't as scary as it looked though when we walked in the gym, so.
She looked like she was just tall. Like that was her.
Her whole personality.
Like, don't get me wrong, she put a couple hits on the ground, but.
Yeah. A little easier when you're towering over everyone.
Yeah. It was like if we were late on the block, pretty much was the only time she did that, but. Alright, number 12 is going to have a picture associated in the book as well, so that's on page 73. Alright, so it says, a university teacher saved every email received from students in a large introductory statistics class during an entire term. He then counted for each student who had sent him at least one email, how many emails each student had sent. From the histogram, would you expect the mean or median to be larger? Explain. So first of all, is this symmetric or skewed? In which direction if it's skewed?
Skewed right.
Skewed right, so I'm going to note that. And yesterday at the end, I gave you a little thing that said if it's skewed right, it's something about the mean versus the median. If it's skewed left, it's this.
Greater than or less than? I'm going to say greater than. No, you know, I'm going to say less than.
I'm going to say both.
Is it?
Because then I'm right like 50%.
So is mean or median going to be larger?
I think that the mean is going to be larger.
Wait, mean is average, right? Median's middle. Okay. I don't know.
Because they're all pretty relatively high. The median would be like, I'll say mean.
I'll say median.
It's the mean.
Okay. Alright.
If I can find my paper, I'll pull it back to make sure that it's right.
But that makes sense just because it would be like, because the first one is just so big that like it's going to average everything. Alright.
You already done?
Yeah.
How fast was your mile?
7:07.
You need like a moist towel.
I'm already sweating enough.
Do you need a dry towel?
He didn't even like drop his face at all. Like there's sweat dripping from him.
Yeah, I know. I can feel it.
Today's like the hottest day to have done that too.
Yeah, but I have.
Oh, yeah, it's like 90.
You did sign back in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, where did you run?
One lap around the cross country course here.
Oh. Wait, you have to sign out for that?
No, but I just decided to just.
Just in case. Yeah, that makes sense.
Since he's not in the building, it's better too.
Right, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I did it in my jeans. I didn't bring any clothes, and I didn't feel like bringing any clothes anyways. So.
It's fair.
Well,
Yeah.
good job, John.
Good for you.
Yeah, very good fun.
I've had to work out in jeans before. I hate that.
I saw a guy at the gym working out in like full on like business clothes the other day. I was like,
Which
more
gym
power
is
to
it?
you at Planet
Oh,
Fitness.
no wonder, yeah.
Do you
It's like-
do you actually have like a towel you could use?
Paper towels in the bathroom.
I mean, some of our volleyball towels are downstairs, but none of them are up here.
I've got some perfume if you need it.
I don't know, maybe.
You could be scented for
Do you
a
want my body
minute.
spray?
I'll just use a tissue.
Okay. Oh, no.
There's paper towels in the bathroom
Dude.
that might be more effective.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so,
like-
like
It
right
looks like
through.
his shirt is tied out in the back. Wait, turn around, Josh.
Can you take a picture? 'Cause I
Alright, I
can't
got-
see it.
Can I?
Sure.
Okay. This is a weird picture to have on my phone. It's kind of tough.
The random things that occur in
Yeah.
class.
Well, it was
I don't know how to explain that one either.
Alright.
Okay, write a few sentences describing the distribution. So I'm not really gonna do it in sentence form. I'm kind of just gonna like bullet point it.
Is
But
this the one we need a calculator
no.
for?
If they give us a table, we'd need a calculator. But we're just making some. We already said it was skewed right, so that's deals with that stuff though. So I'm gonna go ahead and say skewed right.
Unimodal. Would it be?
Yep, I would say so.
Wait, so is it just unimodal if it has a like one hump, like
Yeah.
period, like just always? Okay, so it doesn't have to go like up and like that. It just okay.
It can be as long as there's just one singular hump. It's good. As far as like the spread goes, what do you notice about it?
It goes low.
Like how far, like
Very
apart?
far.
Yeah. It's a small spread overall because pretty much everything is between like I would say 1 and 8, and most of the data is really less than like 5. So I would say the spread is relatively small. Most data less than 5.
What student was sending like 80 emails? That's a lot of emails.
So that's the number of students. Number of emails is on the bottom.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
But what do you notice all the way out to the right?
There is one.
One person who sent 21.
One person sent 21 emails. That's insane.
That is a lot of emails.
So that we can safely say is a outlier. So I would say one outlier, very far from the rest of the data.
Yes.
I didn't even
I didn't even
see
see
it
it.
at
Yeah.
first because I was looking at it and I was like, and then I was like, why did it go all the way out to 21? Like they could have made this graph so much bigger. And then I was like, oh, there's like a little tiny piece of data right there.
I even looked and I didn't see it. And then you said it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like what? Anyways, all right. C. Which summary statistic would you choose to summarize the center and spread in these data and why? So basically, are we using mean and standard deviation or median and IQR, and why?
I know we talked about this. I just can't remember which one goes with which.
IQR.
So it is going to be median and IQR because it's skewed. So if it's really skewed, like if it was a tiny bit skewed, it would depend. But this one's like very skewed because obviously you had a lot at the beginning and then it drops. So this would be median and IQR.
When do you use the other one?
When it's symmetric,
Oh, wait, so you
or
use
at least
mean.
relatively symmetric.
Wait, so you only use mean when it's like relatively.
Median is if it's median, which IQR goes together, is if it's skewed.
Okay.
Mean and standard deviation is
It's,
if
like,
it
closer.
like yeah, like
Okay.
if it's pretty much symmetric. It doesn't have to be exactly symmetric, but
right, not
close
like 80
enough.
to 40 kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. 18. This problem always cracks people up. It also has a picture associated with it on page 74. That's why I said, like,
What's
some
your
of
picture?
you're welcome to go, like, it's at the top left. You're welcome to draw them in on your paper if you want when you go through. So like if you don't finish it in class and you're taking it home, like you can look at it or whatever. But
I think Amanda was gonna be like a picture of somebody's neck.
yeah, for some reason this problem always cracks people up. They don't understand what neck size is, so.
Wait, I remember that on the board where it was like measuring it upward or something.
So the histogram shows neck sizes in inches of 250 men recruited for a health study in Utah. Which summary statistic would you choose to summarize the center and spread of these data and why? So we're from 12 inches out to 17 and a half inches, I would say.
I would say mean and standard deviation.
Why?
Because it almost looks kind of symmetric.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So yes, mean and standard deviation.
Wait, and what do you say?
And I just do SD for standard deviation, so I don't have to write out the whole thing. So mean and standard deviation are always like a buddy system. They go together. And then median and IQR will always go together. And we do this because it is unimodal and relatively symmetric. And yes, last year they thought that neck size meant like this
Like that, yeah.
versus
It was only half the class.
around. I was like, clearly y'all have never gone and bought a dress shirt before because a dress shirt has a neck size associated with it.
Understood it.
Dude, it's uncomfortable to get measured because it just like, I don't know, it feels like somebody should not be like that close to you.
It's better just to start trying stuff on, I think.
Yeah.
But when you have to get like a suit like specifically tailored.
Yeah,
that
oh well,
sucks.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Obviously I haven't had to do that, but
Yeah, it's.
Can't relate.
They don't do that with dresses? Like they don't like do measurements and stuff for.
If you get it like tailored.
I mean, if you get it tailored, yeah, but even my like wedding dress, like they weren't like doing my neck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're measuring a lot of other like parts,
Things.
obviously, to make sure everything's right. Or like you get like a prom dress, or like have to get it like shortened. Obviously, they're like down there trying to figure out. And you have to like wear the shoes that you're gonna wear with it, because otherwise it's different.
Yeah.
They put you on this little like stage.
Yeah.
Dude, I hate that. I hate the stage.
I hate it so. And then I was
Miss View sanded mine, so like she has this like little like 3-step staircase in her house. So I stood at the top and she sat at the bottom and did it.
There was like another lady getting stuff tailored while I was in there, so I was just staying there, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, your dress is like talking the whole time." I was like, "Mom, let me leave."
Mine's uncomfortable because I don't think they really talk while they're doing it. They're just kind of silent. They might say something here or there, like tell you to like turn around or something, but that's kind of it. And they're just like, "Yeah, got it."
The lady I go to said our dress code is stricter than the military. I was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Getting a wedding dress altered is insane, especially because like mine had a bunch of layers to it, so they have to like pin each layer to make sure that it's right, so that they don't have to do it multiple times and
Yeah.
stuff. It was a lot. Yeah. And then when my dress came back, I was so scared it wasn't gonna fit right.
That's what I'm scared for, because like you buy your dress like months in advance. I'm so scared. I'm like, it's not gonna fit right. I'm
Well, I
like,
bought the dress that they said was gonna fit me, and then it came in and it was like kind of tight, and I was like, oh gosh. So, but then I got COVID and lost 15 pounds in 7 days.
In 7 days?
Yeah, and because I couldn't eat anything because my throat hurt so bad.
15 pounds?
Yeah. So then while I was still like quarantined, like I was better, but I was still quarantined, my dress came in and I like told them, I was like, hey, like I can't really come in yet.
yeah.
Because you get it back 6 weeks out usually ish, like time frame. And so I was like, okay. So when she like measured it or whatever, when I went in, it like fit better than it did when I was trying it on the first time. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
So I was so scared. I was like, this is the dress that they told me to get. And I didn't gain any weight from the time I bought the dress to the time that I went in to get it like altered.
Yeah,
and
'cause I mean,
then,
it was only
but
6
I
weeks,
lost
right?
a bunch of weight before.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Yeah. It was stressful.
That's like really good time when you get sick though.
Except for 6 weeks before your wedding is not the ideal
Yeah.
time to get sick when you're having it on your farm. Like,
Yeah.
and you have to do a bunch
Oh,
of
you had it on the
stuff.
farm?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
I was so, yeah. I was freaking out because by the time I was unquarantined, I had 4 weeks left.
Well, That'd be so stressful.
It was a lot. And then I had to we had to clean up the farm, and I was still super winded, so I'm walking at the farm, and I'm
I feel
like I didn't even have it that bad. It was just because of the
Yeah.
timing.
Was it a big wedding, a ton of people were there, or was it just kind of small?
We had 250 RSVP that they were coming. Yeah.
That's
But my
stressful.
family's huge, so
Yeah, that makes sense.
that was. And then it was all of our friends, because we didn't really have a lot of mutual friends,
Mhm.
so a lot of our individual friends were there.
I was
so.
scared my wedding would be super small, because I don't know if there's that many people. I
That's
feel
what I'm scared
inviting.
for. I feel like I'll send a bunch of RSVPs and no one
Nobody
will
comes.
go.
Nobody shows up.
Well,
Yeah, we just sent up my friend that just got married. They did their wedding, but it was a normal they had a private wedding with just their immediate family, and I mean not cousins and everyone,
Literally just mom,
parents,
family.
siblings, and grandparents. I think were it.
That might almost be kind of cool.
And then they had a giant reception, which I didn't really realize we were only going to the reception initially, which it was fine, but we got to
You
have
just
a
didn't get to
good
see the
weekend
wedding, you
away.
just get to-
Yeah, well, it was my friend that literally Kenny doesn't know, so it was just me, and I had met him and his fiance. They came to our wedding
Right.
a couple 3 years ago, and so then we got to go to theirs, but I knew the groom and his mom and dad and one brother, and that was it. So and there was assigned seating, so it was super awkward. So we met this other couple that was pretty much in the same boat. The girl knew the groom and his parents, and that was it. So it was we were oh cool, at least we have somebody to talk to. So we had a good time with them, but it was just so awkward.
yeah.
I was but it's like that. I'm sure it was like that for my friend when he came down for ours too, because he really only knew me. Other than where we met was on a mission trip, so a few people from the mission trip were there, so he at least kind of knew people.
Did you have assigned seating though? Okay. Yeah, because once you have assigned
With that
seating,
many
that's,
people, it's too hard to do assigned
and it's such a
seating.
dumb idea. It just doesn't work that well. I feel like.
It
Maybe-
does in
maybe,
some
I don't know.
sense, but it really just depends on.
If you want to move a seat though, you can't. You're stuck. You're confined where you were.
Yeah.
You know? It's
I mean, it would have been fine as long as it wasn't super packed out.
Yeah.
When my cousin did her wedding, they did assigned seating for a few tables that were reserved. So they said all right, you're sitting at these tables, but then everyone else just could pick kind of randomly. So they basically did family tables up closer,
Right.
so that way, which I kind of get that. We kind of did that too. We had 2 tables for each of our family groups to sit at, and then after that it was just random. But anyways, all that to say, we can finish number 20 and then we'll be done. So continuation of neck sizes, as it says neck sizes again. So looking back at that histogram, so the same picture, number 18 goes with number 20. Is the mean closer to 14, 15, or 16 inches, and why? What does it look like?
Closer to 15. Because it looks like it's going by increments of 0.5 inches. And so it would be at 15.7 or 8 maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of the middle, balancing area of the histogram, because to the left of 15 is the highest, and then to the right is the second highest. So I would say around 15.
So these kind of questions, they don't want us to calculate it, right? We don't. It's just kind of.
Yeah.
If we got it on a test, would we still be allowed to calculate it, or do we just answer it
You wouldn't really be able to calculate it. I mean, you could kind of do it, but you would have a hard time
Okay.
calculating it exactly. And then, is the standard deviation closer to 1 inch, 3 inches, or 5 inches? So, they want to know essentially how far from the mean is your typical value. So, what do you think?
Wait, standard deviation is what again?
It's distance from the mean.
Okay.
Kind of absolute value is distance from 0. Standard deviation is difference from the mean. Distance from the mean, not difference.
Maybe
3.
1 inch?
I'm gonna stick with 3.
So, I'm gonna give you a little hint. 3 is not even an option because you can't go out 3 on the right side.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it won't be something that's on there, but it still could be. But we want to be able to go multiple away, so it would have to be 1 inch because every increment of an inch, it like drops off more. So that's kind of what it is. So the standard deviation is the closest to 1 inch because typical values are 1 inch from the mean. There's only a couple points 3 inches from the mean, and that's on the left hand side when we go down to 12. And none that are 5 inches away. You haven't done a lot with standard deviation, so that one was a little bit more of a tricky one, but
I'm so
overall.
confused. So standard deviation is like, what am I looking for?
How far away something is from the mean.
It means the average.
The mean is the average, so how
So-
far away we are. So, like, the first set of data, let's see if I can sit this under here. So, like, if 15 is the mean, then 1 inch away on both sides, that's, like, pretty even in there, right? And then 2 inches away, so at 13 and 17, it's about the same.
Okay.
So we're looking for like an increment of the bulk of your data should be within 1 standard deviation.
But you can't do standard deviation on ones that are skewed, right?
I mean, you can, but you
Like
shouldn't.
us.
It's possible, but you should not do
It's
it. Well, it's not going to be accurate at all.
Okay.
So there's not as much. It's harder to do stuff with standard deviation with these, to be honest. The problems later that we're doing where we're actually calculating mean and standard
Makes more
deviation, it's going to make more sense.
Okay.
If we were to type all these numbers in, so if we were to say, okay, well, 12 is like 2 and 12 and a half is like 1 and
Right.
13 is about 10, and we were to calculate it, it's going to give us a standard deviation number from our 5-number summary of something close to 1.
Okay.
Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, which is how we would actually be able to calculate it. But I'm just looking for you to look at it. And the main thing is you can't go 3 inches away over here. So there's no data there, so that doesn't make sense. So that's why for that one. So that's really what you're looking for.
Could bimodal be like skewed right and left?
No.
Okay.
It's going to have to either be, if it's skewed right and left, it's probably symmetric.
So like for number 7, would that be the serial one?
That one's pretty much just going to be bimodal.
Okay.
It's not really going to be anything else. Bimodal doesn't often have something else associated with it unless it's like the one that we did yesterday where the Little League, like the parent or like the ages of Little League, because you have a lot of kids, you have a lot of parents, but then it could be skewed a little bit by, like if you had like a really strong tail one way or the other, you could say it is skewed, but pretty much with bimodal, you're not going to have anything else. So that one should just be bimodal.
And when it says describe the distribution, do I also put like if there's a gap?
Yeah, if you notice a gap, I would explain that. If there's something you think could be an outlier, I would like say that. Like that one probably doesn't, because you could argue that that one's probably close enough without actually knowing the mathematical numbers. But like obviously we were able to say on 12, like there was clearly an outlier. Like if you looked at number 9, I don't know if that's one that you have or not, but if you look at number 9, there's 2 gaps there, so it's hypothetically possible that that one that's way out to the right could be an outlier, but it's really hard to know without having more information.
Okay.
But since the bulk of the data is way to the left, it could be because there's a 2-bin gap, but it's hard to know.
And if I'm saying there's a gap, do I say like for 7, would I say like gap between 24 and 32? Or would I say like,
So, I would say between 24 and 28.
okay,
Because then that bin that you see that's right after that gap would be 28 to 32. Because they're in increments of 4. And then same thing with like the second one that you have.